So, today we're going to dive into a pretty profound story, one that's really inspired by the wisdom of Alan Watts. It's all about a man who loses, literally everything he's built his entire identity on, and what he finds waiting for him in the silence that comes after. I mean, just think about that for a second. What happens when you lose everything? It's a terrifying question, right? What is actually left when the very foundation of your life just collapses? When all the people and all the things you thought defined you are suddenly gone? So our story starts with a man who is, for all intents and purposes, standing in the ruins of his life. His home, his hopes, his relationships, everything he used to point to and say, "That's me," it's all crumbled away. He's been completely stripped bare. But then, in this state of just total loss, something really unexpected happens. A strange kind of gift appears: freedom. That frantic, constant need to compare yourself, to want more, to perform for the world, it just dissolves. Because, well, there's nothing left to protect. And this right here, this is the core shift. See, that external identity, the mask we build out of our jobs, our status, our stuff, it was always super fragile. And now, it's shattered. Alan Watts might call this the ego, not some deep inner thing, but just a social role we all learn to play. And when that performance is over, what's left underneath? The fundamental self. Something that isn't built, but just is. Raw, open, and simply breathing. So what fills this new emptiness? It's not just an absence of things, it's the arrival of something else entirely: silence. But listen, this is not an empty, awkward silence. This is a silence that feels deeply and powerfully present. For his entire life, this man was listening to the noise. You know, the endless chatter of ambition, the static of fear, all the demands of the world. But now, his whole perception starts to shift. He begins to hear the whisper of his own breath, the quiet rhythm of his own heart. The whole soundtrack of his life changes from all that external chaos to this internal stillness. And this first feeling is so important. At first, the silence feels like a void, like a total annihilation of the person he thought he was. It feels like death. But as he just stays with it, he makes this incredible discovery. This isn't emptiness at all. It's fullness. It's this deep, resonant presence that was there all along. It was just drowned out by all the noise. So you see, silence in this story isn't just a lack of sound. It's a gateway. It's the space you can enter where the performance finally ends, and what is truly, authentically real finally gets a chance to show itself. This encounter with silence, it kicks off this whole process of profound unlearning. Our guy starts to realize that what he thought was his life, that identity he was clinging to so tightly, it was never really his to begin with. His possessions, his reputation, even how he saw his own relationships, they were all kind of like sand castles on the shore, you know? Beautiful, maybe intricate, but ultimately temporary. They were built on something that was always shifting. The tide was always going to come in. So what were these illusions really? Well, they were costumes he wore, like reputation. They were performances for other people. They were those temporary sandcastles of possession. And maybe, most powerfully, they were just stories that his mind was constantly telling itself about who he was and what he needed. When you look at it this way, the loss wasn't a punishment at all. It was a clearing. It just swept away all the shadows, all the unnecessary clutter. And that allowed the fundamental light of his own being to finally be seen. And this all leads us to the real heart of the journey, this incredible mind-bending paradox. The discovery that in having absolutely nothing, you can somehow find everything. Just let that one sink in for a second. The peace, the wholeness, the love he was always chasing in the outside world, it was already inside him. He just couldn't see it until all the external distractions were stripped away. He had to be completely emptied out to finally discover his own fullness. So what does this new kind of freedom actually look like? Well, first, it's freedom from needing to always get more. Second, it's freedom from trying to control everything. It's found in surrendering to the flow of life. And finally, it's freedom from needing recognition, dissolving that need to be seen as a somebody. And this completely flips the script on what we think of as strength. The old idea of strength was about being unbreakable, right? about dominating your circumstances. But what he finds is that true strength, well, that's an openness and vulnerability and the deep resilience that comes when you finally let go of the fight. This is probably the ultimate metaphor for this whole shift in consciousness. Before, he felt like he was a victim of his thoughts and emotions, just waves tossing him around. Now, he realizes he is the vast, deep ocean in which those waves of thought and feeling simply rise and fall. They can't drown him because they're a part of him. Now, you might be thinking this all leads to him becoming a hermit and withdrawing from the world, but that's not it at all. Instead, this inner discovery leads to a complete transformation in how he actually engages with life itself. So this isn't an escape from life. It's a full-on return to it. He comes back to the exact same world, but he sees it with brand new eyes. He's experiencing everything so much more directly now that the filter of his old identity is just gone. And you can see this new way of being in really tangible ways. His steps are lighter because they're not weighed down by expectation. Each moment is full and complete in itself, not just a stepping stone to the next thing. When he listens to someone, he's not just waiting for his turn to talk, he's actually hearing them. And meaning? Well, meaning isn't some grand goal out there. It's right here, in the simple, incredible miracle of just existing. So, as we bring the story of this man to a close, you start to realize the narrative is shifting. It stops being just about him and starts being about a universal truth his journey reveals to all of us. And that brings us right back to where we started. But now, the question is for you. This whole journey suggests that a profound loss isn't just an ending, but it could be an invitation to listen. So the final thought I want to leave you with is this. What would you find in the silence?